It's finally official. I was going to say it's finally done. It's been done for over 24 hours now, but it's official. Graham Potter is Lopetegui's successor at West Ham United and has been announced as our new head coach on a 2.5-year contract. And his backroom staff have been announced as well. Billy Reid being one of them. A name I'm not even going to try and pronounce, Pelash, who was at Stoke City prior. So I've been able to ask a couple of people about him. And Bruno, who has the potential to be a bit like West Ham's Jason Tyndall, I think. We all know Jason Tyndall, big presence on the touchline next to Eddie Howe. We never really had that at West Ham. Well, we have. I guess Kevin Nolan's had a little bit of that aura about him. I think Bruno might carry that. Looking forward to seeing his antics on the touchline next to Graham Potter. But someone that the good thing I like about his backroom staff is that they've been with him before. And I think that always says a lot about Graham Potter, that when he's got people that are loyal and follow him throughout his career. I remember Julian Dix. I remember going to one of those evenings with Julian Dix, and Julian Dix said that he would go anywhere with Slaven Bilic, and if Slaven Bilic went to Timbuktu and wanted him to go with him, he would go. And I like that attitude. I think it says a lot about, well, both people really. Of course, it's easier when people are out of work to agree to take a position, but I'm looking forward to it. I'll be honest with you. I've done a lot of Potter stuff in the last couple of days, not loads, because I've got a strong pre-West Ham Graham Potter opinion. But I'm liking it more and more, and I don't know if it's because am I falling into the trap that Lopetegui's gone, so my positivity is going up naturally. I think we could employ Gonzo as manager, and I'd be getting a little bit maybe not. That would be wild, but you know what I mean. Am I happy because Lopetegui's gone, or am I happy because we've hired Graham Potter? That's what I'm trying to work out. And to be honest with you, I think it's both. I'm delighted he's been sacked and he's off ski. But with the Graham Potter appointment, I'm finding myself warming to it more and more and quicker than I perhaps anticipated. I've just listened to his interview that he did with West Ham. Even that I'm liking. And I'm trying to back off a little bit. I'm trying to reverse a little bit to some extent because I never did it with Lopetegui because I didn't like Lopetegui. Perhaps a bit harsh, but it is what it is. It's my pre-West Ham opinion of him. I was willing to change my mind. But I think it's because I witnessed Gonzo get catfished by Lopetegui, basically. Gonzo didn't know much about him, so he was absorbing all this media stuff and doing as much research, and he ended up really warming to Lopetegui based on things that he was given to him. And the club did a bit of a number on him, to be honest with you, in the summer. So I'm really overthinking it, haven't I? To sum it up, I'm warming to the appointment of Graham Potter, and it's got me excited, actually, for tomorrow night against Aston Villa. He's confirmed himself. He's in charge of that game. He's got a press conference this morning. That pre-match press conference is at 9 a.m. this morning, so Graham Potter will be doing that one. Someone sent me the link to it today. And when you looked at the video description, it just said speaks to the press. There was nothing before speaks. Oh, sorry, there was nothing before speaks. So now they can go fill it in and put Graham Potter speaks to the press. So I'll be intrigued I can tune into that. I can tune into press conferences again. I can understand what they're saying now. So that'll be exciting. But there is a big difference, and this is going to be a bit harsh on Lopetegui, perhaps, because it didn't come from him. But that Spanish journal, Julen Lopetegui, I'm never going to know how to say. I don't need to know how to say his name now. That's not Potter's mouthpiece in the media. So that geezer, we all know who I'm referring to. He was on the radio last night, and he said, "Oh, West Ham fans thought the ambition was European football, to qualify for European football, wasn't that?" First of all, I didn't really see many people say that, so he's made that up. And second of all, he went on to say, what, they've qualified for European football once in the last 11 years. I mean, that's definitely just made up, isn't it? Try the last 3 seasons before your client rocked up. It's not Lopetegui's fault not in European football, by the way, but I'm just saying 3 years. So completely wrong. But the tone was, you ain't good enough for European football. You're not getting, West Ham are not getting European football. That was, his mate, Lopetegui's mate in the media suggesting, whoa, European football is never going to happen at West Ham. Let's just calm things down. However, Graham Potter's done his little thing, and I appreciate it's a puff piece, it's a media piece, it's on the official West Ham website. It's only going to be positive. But he speaks about West Ham qualifying for European football and that being ambition. And I like it. I just felt like after listening to that radio thing last night and hearing Potter today, 12 hours apart, there's a significant difference in tone and ambition. And it's got my hopes up. Not for this season, by the way. I don't think we'll get European football this season, although this could be the season that 8th gets it. So, had last season looked like 8th, I don't know, we might have just managed to get it last season. I know we finished 9th, but I think it's fair to say tools were down at the end of the season. But I liked it. I liked what he had to say, and he was very direct to the fans, which you would expect, and he acknowledged that the fans are demanding. But I don't think that's a bad thing. If you come in knowing that the fans have got high standards, good. And he continued to talk about putting a product on the pitch which get the fans excited and one we can identify with, which is pleasing, because I think that's what the biggest failure so far this season has been. I don't think we've had that identity. I don't think we've had that connection with the players on the pitch. If I was to say, sometimes when we do like competitions or ticket giveaways in particular, we might ask what your favorite West Ham players. It's just a way of people just chucking their name in the hat. And at the minute, it's not many. There was someone, I remember asking someone once who their kid's favorite player is at West Ham at the moment. And it was almost like he doesn't really have one. And it was quite sad, really. And I just feel like West Ham fans have been quite disengaged with this squad. And I think a big contribution to that reason has been how we've been playing football under Lopetegui. And if Graham Potter can change that pretty quickly and just make it a little bit more exciting, make it that you're quite confident, or you can have, as long as I can have hope going back into games, because I've not had it pretty much all season, really. The next game comes, what do you think? Oh, a draw? What do you think? Oh, a narrow defeat would be a good result here. But I've not had hope. And that's something I hate. That's something I've missed quite a lot. So if Graham Potter can get me back to the place and the fans back to the place where actually we are going into games, maybe thinking we can win them, I think that would be a big positive and a big achievement. So that's what I want him to do between now and the end of the season. 2.5-year deal. Rumours are there's no break clauses in there. It's just a straight 2.5-year deal, in that because Everton came knocking, and there seems to be a bit more merit in that other than just rumours, but because Everton came rocking, it's allowed Potter to have the negotiating power, really, in the discussions with West Ham, and he's got what he wanted, which is a straight 2.5-year contract. So I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I'm being a bit naive, like I said. Maybe I'm just being sucked into the whole thing of Lopetegui going and a new guy coming in. But I'm quite excited, actually. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's game against Aston Villa. Not sure I think we'll win, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued just to see what Potter's going to do, formation-wise, tactic-wise, personnel-wise. He's only got one training session with them, so it's going to be quite tricky to get his ideas across. But these are a high standard of players. The players that we've got at West Ham, and every Premier League club, by the way. Southampton's got the worst team in the Premier League, but they'd be the best team in the Championship, okay? I think it's fair to suggest that Southampton, while they're crap in the league they're in, has the 20th best squad in England right now, and would be competitive. It would win the Scottish Premiership. It would win a lot of leagues in European football. So the standard of players at West Ham United right now is incredibly high. The intelligence of them as footballers is incredibly high. Dare I say it, by the way, I think there's some players we've got, say, here's the hand grenade one. I think Rodriguez seems like a bright footballer. He seems to understand his role. He seems to read the game really well. The only problem with Guido Rodriguez has been lack of pace. We've been playing tactics which exposes his lack of pace. So actually, could Potter work with Rodriguez? We'll wait and find out. But my point is, it's easier to get your ideas across when the group of players you're working with are pretty switched on. And I imagine most of them are. Although this season it looks like they're having a Scooby what's going on, I think that's down to an instruction rather than an understanding. Anyway, I'm going to take a little look and see what you're all saying in the live chat regarding Graham Potter. Kerry says, feels good to be excited again. DA says his interview was very good. Let's see what he can do. Barry said he's just seen Potter's interview. It's great to understand him. Tony is 100% happy. Chris is saying he never completed a video of watching Lopetegui. I did, but a lot of it, sometimes, I think we all do this. You probably do it with Hamish Chat videos, right? You put it on and you'll do something. So you won't watch it. You'll just listen to it. And there'll be a lot of times I'd do that with Lopetegui's videos. And then, so say, I don't know, let's just say I'm writing out the compliment slips for the orders from the store and writing them out, listen to Lopetegui, right? And I'm just sitting there. I'm just writing away. And then suddenly it's like music in my ear because it's moved on to the next video and it's now an advert. And it's whoa, hang on a minute. I forget. I just completely zoned out from it. So technically I've completed a lot of them. Couldn't tell you what he said. Boar says, good news at last. Max is looking forward to Potter, likes his ideas and ethic. Matthew said, I never really wanted Graham Potter, but I feel he's the right man for us right now. That's me. I am the same as that, Matthew. Let's see if we agree with the rest. Given time, we'll slowly start seeing a better style of football, though I don't see us getting European football too soon. I also agree with that one, Matthew. We're in sync. Billy said, anyone not sure in Potter and how he plays should check out that video that came out in Zico Football. Oi, we're going to do something. We're going to do something on this channel about Graham Potter. Sin says we can understand our gaffer again. Slapping said just in Potter's fault out with Tim Stein. Banned him from the training ground. That's next week's videos. Art says not expected too much tomorrow night, except maybe a 90-minute fighting performance, which has been lacking all season. Hugo says we need a box-to-box midfielder and a striker. Jordan says Chelsea under Potter were really good at battering the woodwork. They just couldn't get the ball in the net. I think he was unlucky. One thing I will say, obviously doing this, is that let me just take some more comments. Scott saying, what do we think about Potter's objective? Scott, I know what people have said, but it's changed in the last 12 hours. We covered it last night in the video, but I appreciate it's quite a long video. Myself and Frankie did, but I like it. Doing those long form podcasts, I do like it. Good video, by the way. I enjoyed that. Sometimes you finish a video, you might think, oh, I'm not sure that's my best one, but that's the video for the day. And sometimes you finish and you think, yeah, that was a good one. We've nailed that. And last night when me and Frankie finished, I thought that was a good podcast. So do check it out. But I think it's just a 2.5 year deal. Scott, sorry, I forgot who it was that said it. I think it was Scott. Yeah, it was Scott. Scott, 2.5 year contract. No, apparently no clauses. No breaks. It's 2.5. So if he does crap in the first 6 months, we're stuck with him or we've got to sack him. One of the two. I would imagine there's clauses in there that if we get relegated, we could sack him. But in terms of him triggering us another automatic extension, I believe it doesn't exist because Potter negotiated really well. I think Everton did make inquiries and that forced West Ham's hand. Chris says that Potter said, best thing Potter said was getting team enjoying it again, haven't for a while. Adam says, like May, all he cares about is you can give West Ham the what if factor for game days. Yeah, I completely agree with that one. Christopher says Potter's had a scrap with Tadibo to get away. Barry says no one wanted Potter, but I'm sure he's a lot better than Lopetegui. I think that's fair, and that's okay. That's okay. Richard said, happy with the Potter appointment, looking forward to the second half of the season. Mark says he said all the right things in the interview and what supporters want to hear. Hope now we can begin to see an identity develop. Mike thinks he's came across well on his interview. Aswike says, let's hope Potter casts. Oh, no. It's a Harry Potter. He's making Harry Potter. There's going to be Harry Potter jokes. I'm leaving it to Gonzo, to be honest with you. That's Gonzo's bag. He enjoys a bit of a joke like that. Lewis says, very optimistic about this appointment. Like the way Potter sets up his teams, just need a couple of signings in. Midfield especially needs work. Our better players need to step up. Hammer Crow says, hope Potter can organise the defence and stop us being so... I think he can do that, by the way. Like, that I don't have an issue with. Zanussi said Potter was sacked when Chelsea were in the Champions League quarter-final, so he wasn't a complete failure. Phil says this has to be the first time I felt our manager actually looks enthusiastic since Slav, with the expectation of Moyes winning a trophy. So often our managers are seen like a mercenary hire. I get that. It's a bit sad, but I get it. I don't disagree. Max says slightly worried about how he carries himself. Interviewed well, but don't think he's the same tough character as Moyes. Could be interesting with Paqueta and Todibo. The one thing I will say is that it was our game. I'm sure it was when we played Brighton at Brighton, and as I was saying, did we win? It must have been a draw because we hadn't beaten them. So it would have been a draw, and the Brighton fans booed. But I think it was like their seventh draw in a row or something stupid like that. And he was very spiky in his interview after. He basically, I remember him in the interview saying, "Oh, I might have to research my history on Brighton, because at the time they were in the top half of the Premier League or not far off it." So he can be quite spiky, but Bruno is a bloke that you wouldn't want to mess with. I don't think Potter can just send Bruno into deals that all. Honestly, if you will know who Bruno is. He's played in the Premier League for Brighton under Graham Potter. Then he was a coach at Brighton under Potter. Then he went to Chelsea. Then when Potter was sacked, Bruno was in charge of one game at Chelsea before Frank Lampard took over. And you'll recognise him, bald guy with a big beard, looks like a Viking. Pretty sure I've seen him in some Viking programs actually, but he looks mean. He was quite a tough tackling right back under Graham Potter. Didn't fear a crunchy tackle. Always looked like one of those hard men on the football pitch. So that's why I said I think we've got our Jason Tyndall to some extent, that big character on the touchline. And Reed said Potter should bring back Potts, Ward-Prowse, and Gerd. Move on Rodriguez and Soler. I don't know if we can. When you loan a player, if you receive a fee, which we would have done for at least two of those, I'm not sure we would have for Potts, given that it's more of a development thing. But with Ward-Prowse and Aguirre, we would have been given a couple of million probably on each loan. So usually there isn't a clause in there which we can recall them. You can only recall them in January if there is a clause, part of it, but there may not be one. I'd be surprised if there was. I would be surprised if Ward-Prowse, if Nottingham Forest have given us some money and then allowed us to take him back in the middle of the season. Of course, we could negotiate it and try and get him out of it, but I think Ward-Prowse would fit what Potter does. I agree with that, by the way. And I think Aguirre's not the worst shout. In fact, I agree with all three of them, really. It's just funny, isn't it? You change the manager and the whole thing changes. Phil says, as you know, I wasn't convinced Sullivan would pull the trigger unless we're seriously threatened with relegation. Never been so glad to be wrong. Optimistic now, as long as Sullivan keeps quiet. Barry says, while Potter isn't everyone's first choice, and not like Lopetegui, who's at plenty of our games, had nothing but good things to say about West Ham. Lope is watching us for the whole season. Ross says, excited about Potter. I think we all as a fan base need to write off this season and assess him in 12 months' time. I think we will score less than under Moyes, but concede a lot less as well. I agree with that second part. I think the thing is, he's not coming into an easy situation. I think somebody said, the situation Lopetegui, it was on the video myself and Frankie did, it was a subscriber comment. It was a really good one, which was Lopetegui came in, there was over 100 million spent, had a whole pre-season, and what Potter doesn't have is that he's not got Jared Bowen for at least a month, and he's not got Michail Antonio. So he's got players that some players want out. He's not got Bowen, he's not got Antonio. We might have some money to spend in January, but it won't be anywhere near as much as what Lopetegui had. Lopetegui had a pre-season, so you're just comparing the set of circumstances that Lopetegui and Potter have come into, and they are significantly different. And I agree with Ross, which is right. I'm basically writing the rest of this season. I'm trying to look at it as sort of like a pre-season for Graham Potter, really. He's got a few months to try and get his ideas across, work with the squad, see what he thinks about every player, and then in the summer we can move on the players Potter doesn't want to work with bring in other players, and hopefully next season the foundations are already in place. And I know it sounds a little bit silly, but if Potter could just implement a style of play that we can recognize week in, week out, and Henrik Larsson has spoken about Potter in the past, saying that he used to have like 3 or 4 different styles, and they would switch during the game from style A to style B. That's what, between now and then the season, that's what I'd like him to do, just to get his ideas into that team, because we're not quite firefighting. When you go in at Southampton or even Leicester, and obviously it's not happening, and they certainly haven't done this, but you could understand if a manager went in and said, right, we're just going to park the bus for the rest of the season. We're going to go in and we're just going to try and grind out draws and get those points on the board and stay up. We're not in that situation. We're 7 points clear of Ipswich. It's a good buffer zone. It's a good amount of points for breathing space, so you don't have to go defensive from day one. Yes, the defense needs improved, but so does our attack, because under Lopetegui, we couldn't defend, we couldn't create. So everything needs changed, and it's going to be a long process. But like I said, he's got half a season. I think that is plenty time to start to get your ideas across. And we don't have European football, so he's going to have a lot of time on the training ground. It's not like, you know, Ruben Amorim was saying, "Oh, we've only had like 1 training session a week and stuff like that." That's not the situation Potter's coming into here. He's got plenty of time. Spencer said, would like Potter to take a leaf out of Eddie Howe's book on the way he sets out to play. Did smile watching 17 minutes in. Newcastle were playing a formation of 5-5-0. Hammer Crow, do you think Potter makes it more likely we'll try and get Ferguson? I do, but I think Bournemouth will be all over that one. For those unaware, Bournemouth have got 2 strikers, Unal and Evan Nielsen, and they're both injured. Unal's out for the season. Evan Nielsen, I think, has had surgery, so I think he's out for at least a month or 2. So Bournemouth at the minute don't have a senior striker. So I think they will go for Evan Ferguson. And if I'm Evan Ferguson, maybe West Ham because of Potter, but I've been looking at Fuku going, well, unless you get rid of him, I don't really fancy competing with that guy. If I'm Ferguson, I'm going to Bournemouth as well. Play good football, and they don't have a striker. You're guaranteed game time there. So hopefully we get him. I like Ferguson. I just think he's going to go to the Cherries. David said, after watching a certain analysis on Potter's formation and playing style, I'm both excited and worried. We might ship a few goals before we get it right. He does take time, Potter. Adam said, excited about the game tomorrow. It's almost a free hit, and no one is going to batter an eyelid if we lose, considering he's only coming in today. Jonathan says, me, the Scotsman with an England shirt. Hey, that's a special shirt. I'll show you what it is at the end, because it's a bit boring and I've done it before. Jeff said, I'm sure the communication with the players and the press conference will help. Not sure the players understood what Lopetegui wanted. Ria said 2 possible scenarios. 1, players are all deadwood, and that is as good as they are, and Lope got the most out of them. 2, Lopetegui was bad manager. It's 1, isn't it? Because we've already got evidence. Kudus was better under David Moyes. Jared Bowen was better. You can only compare the players that were here before Lopetegui, I think. But most of them, I think, were better before Lopetegui came in, personally. That's how I see it anyway. Benny Am says Potter will get the best out of Mohamed Kudus. John says Gilmore incoming. He's done well. He's doing well in Italy, to be honest with you. Him and McTominay are doing all right at Napoli. I prefer Ferguson. Apparently, I know that there's not a Graham Potter link there, but apparently Inter Milan want him for 20 million euro. They're not going to get him for 20 million euro, but if that was to become the price, then I'd love to go for him. One of those players that we were linked to in the past, and I would have liked to have seen him at West Ham, and he went obviously off to Bologna, but he's done really. He looks like a fantastic footballer, fantastic midfielder. Would love him at West Ham. Right then, I think we'll leave it there. Otherwise, we could be here all day taking comments. Gonzo will be back a little bit in a couple of hours with his thoughts on it all, I think. And then I'll be back later on tonight with Gonzo with the Aston Villa preview. We can now record our preview because we know who's in charge. Right, if you don't want to know about the England shirt, now's the time to go. Before you do, please do drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up and subscribing to Hammer's Chat. But if you're thinking, why is the Scottish guy got an England shirt and you don't know what it is, well, I'll show you. We don't know what we're doing with it yet, okay? But an opportunity arose before us to purchase this shirt, and we felt like we had to. So this shirt, let me show you it. There you go. That's the back of it. Not Steven Gerrard, and there's the front of it. So it's been signed by all the players, but you can see there the date. Bulgaria under-21s against England under-21s on the 11th of September 2007. This shirt was worn by Mark Noble. Mark Noble wore this shirt in that match, and he scored his first ever goal for England under-21s wearing this shirt. So he only scored 3 goals for England under-21s, and this shirt is the one he wore for his first one. So it's a bit of a rare, I say rare item. There's only one of them. So we got the opportunity to purchase it. We purchased it, but we don't know what to do. We might do a giveaway, but it's quite expensive. We might do a raffle. I don't know. We haven't decided, but we just knew we wanted to buy it. Jeff, thank you very much for 10 Aussie dollars. Super chat, thank you very much. It helps out the channel. Billy says, think Potter will do well. He suits our project club and he works with youth a lot more to develop the side. Hopefully, back to those European nights. Remember, Rome weren't built in a day. Sullivan out. And GP, there's absolutely zero chance of me putting that shirt on. None at all. You couldn't pay me enough money. Simon said the players can give a lot more. We were shipping goals anyway. So let's see if we can just settle down now and play with a smile. User says Potter is overrated. His win percentage at Brighton was terrible. It's a horrendous, cheap appointment. It's definitely a cheap appointment, right? I'm not gonna pretend. Graham Potter. A big reason Graham Potter got the job is because he was free. There's no two ways about that. Okay, it's similar to the summer. It had to be a free manager to replace David Moyes because that's what David Sullivan does. That hasn't changed. To replace Lopetegui, it still had to be an out-of-work manager. So, yes, he was cheap. I still think... I think it's a solid appointment at this point in time. I think Potter suits West Ham. I think West Ham suits Potter. I think West Ham needs Graham Potter. I think Graham Potter needs West Ham. I think it's a match made in heaven in regards to our situations. Whether it's a match made in heaven in regards to performances, time will tell. But I think it's a good move for us, and I think it's a good move for him as well. That's why I'm getting a little bit of my hopes up. John, we won't be doing this. We won't be auctioning it off for charity because we spent a lot of money on it. You know, that's why we do our bit for charity. We've spoke about it before in one video. We said, well, we don't tell people what we do. Otherwise, you're doing it for PR. Then we start speaking about it for ages. We do our bit for charity. We're okay. We're happy with our contribution. So we won't auction it off because, well, we'd be significantly out of pocket. So it's a way of trying to either drive patron sign-ups, either make a little bit of money, whatever. One of the two things. But it won't be for the charity thing. We can't afford it. Otherwise, we'd have just what we paid for it. We'd have just given that to charity, and we can't afford to do that either. So hopefully that makes sense. I appreciate that might be a bit of a harsh answer, but I like to think we're always honest here on Hammer's Chat. I like to think we're always honest in regards to money and stuff. That's why when people talk about adverts on our videos, we say, yeah, it is. It's because we need to make money. It's our job. We need money coming in. Because I remember once someone said, well, there's other channels that don't make money that do West Ham stuff. And I asked them to name one, and they did in that channel. And this isn't a dig at the channel. I think they're well within their right to do this. That channel had adverts. They had a brand deal, and they had like a membership, so you could give them money, just similar to we do. So when I put them that, they said, yeah, but no, that's not the same thing. It is. Pretty much every channel on YouTube makes money. I can't recall one I've come across with absolutely zero adverts or anything, and they're well within their right. They put time, they put money into the channel, they put time into it. Why shouldn't they make money out of it? I've gone off a tangent, haven't I? I'm sorry. I'm gonna go. Thank you very much for joining me. Please do drop a like on the video, subscribe to Hammer's Chat, and I shall catch you in a bit.